And I think, mostly everybody we graduated with had been going off to school or whatever, and they would come home for the summertime. And so I was still in McDonald's like maybe a year and a half after we graduated. And I remember Michelle Torrance, she had came up in there. She ordered something, and I like rung her up. She's like, "Oh man, you still work here?" And it was just the way she said it. I felt like I was like, "Yeah, I still work here."
What up? It's Three Brothers No Sense. I'm Tavares Ferguson, a.k.a. Ferg. Join my co-hosts Razi and Buff. Fellas, tell them what's on your minds.
What's up, folks? I just want to say it's a great day for theater goers out there. Black Widow dropped and Space Jam dropped, and I like both of them. I know a lot of people are kind of giving, especially Space Jam, a whole lot of really, and folks just down talking it, but it was actually pretty fun. The kids liked it. It's not meant for us. That's really what it comes down to. It's not meant for 30-year-olds to watch and be like, "Oh man, this was the best movie ever." But it was fun. LeBron's acting is atrocious. Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. But other than that, man, it was a really good plot line for a kids movie. I mean, the visuals were really good in it. So, I'm not going to complain about it.
I feel like Buff disagrees, so I'm going to let him. It's his facial expressions.
No, it's not that. It's just that you got to be a real LeBron hater to talk about Space Jam being bad, because we had this revisionist history as though Space Jam 1 was like great acting by Michael Jordan. And was like Space Jam 1 was trashed by the critics when it first came out. But now, like 25 years later, people say it's a great film. And now we're doing the same thing with this Space Jam. I thought it was good. Like Roger said, it's not meant for 30-year-olds. LeBron's acting was bad, but even though he's the star of the movie, his lines are kind of limited. Like he's mostly reacting to what the tunes do and just playing basketball. So I felt like they limited him enough. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good movie. And I also like Black Widow too. I was happy that Marvel was back in the movies.
Yeah, same. Didn't have high expectations. What it did highlight was, damn, Warner Brothers has a lot of material, and they did not shy away. It was like shameless plug after shameless plug after shameless plug. All right, let's go to Harry Potter world. But they incorporated it pretty well. The thing about the funniest part of the movie, or the directing to me, or maybe this is casting, was they kept bringing the cast members from other movies and television shows into the movie. But they were like B level, like seeing the White Walkers. Like, okay, like, oh yeah,
they were horrible. Yeah, like Pennywise. So no, that's like, that's not like that's Pennywise, but it's not Pennywise.
Yeah, they had on Halloween costumes. That's what
from
it was.
Party City.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit, how do we get this Pennywise on here? We'll see if we can find. That's what it was. But it was decent. Don Cheadle made a pretty good villain, but it was good. I had fun. The tunes were funny. Yeah, I think the tunes were funnier. This take the actual acting out, but the tunes were funnier to me this series.
Yeah, I agree.
And it was a little, but the thing about it, they did make an attempt to make it a little more adult. I think what's going to happen is people outside of being just LeBron haters, their biggest critique of the movie is going to be, like in the beginning, how they highlighted LeBron. They kind of did his career, from Cleveland all the way to the Lakers. And it's going to be, oh, he had to pat himself on the back. He feels insecure. I know people are going to turn that into something more than it is. Let me make a movie semi-based off my life. Man, you know how much back padding I'm about to do? They might have me getting potty trained. Yeah. Every little accomplishment I got. They might see me with a perfect attendance ribbon. Like, dude, let this do. You've never had a movie based off of your life while you were living that you got to act in. So it's only really been 2 or 3 people that's had that happen. And so let it be what it is. And I did not get to finish Black Widow. Unfortunately, Black Widow finished me. It was just a long week. So I might try to watch it today. So, Buff, what do you have for us?
I just wanted to let people know that haven't seen Space Jam yet. There is a Michael Jordan part. That's all I'm going to say. It's a Michael Jordan part. And it's funny.
That was pretty funny. That was pretty funny.
I don't have anything, man. It's just, I don't have anything. I was gonna mention. I was going to mention. I don't know if you guys know who K. Michelle is. K. Michelle, singer, who once said that there's no such thing as a good black man. Well, they was coming for her like I think about a month ago. I guess she's had some stuff done to her face, and people were like she didn't look recognizable. So I was gonna do this whole thing about bullying and stuff like that, but I don't want to right now. So I don't have anything.
You're not gonna come to her defense, Buff?
You knew K. Michelle pledged with Porsche.
No, absolutely not. No.
Yeah, K. Michelle and Porsche were on the same line. We all pledged 2001. FAMU.
Oh, word. Okay.
Yeah. So.
All right.
Yeah. So K. Michelle was like, she used to be the homie, for the longest.
Did she forget about you when she blowed up?
I don't know.
Blowed up.
We just probably longer than that. She left, and we just kind of not lost touch. We were in that same circle, but it is what it is. For me, I think I would just say this. I don't think a lot of times we talk about all the bad stuff going on. It was a pretty good week for me. Busy but good. Work went really well. I was able to travel to Birmingham and spend time with the Mancarellas. Got to see the kids get their Taekwondo advancement belts. I don't know if you were going to do that in the parting shots, Razi, but now they're green belts. It was pretty fun to watch, and just to see the kids be so excited about their accomplishments. And it's funny to watch Sophie and Ollie together. They're yin and yang. Like they're so, they're polar opposites, but this is the best of both worlds. They are just pure comedy. But it was good. Got to travel, and now my mom and sister are in town. My mom's going to be here for about a week, and my sister's leaving later today. But just to be around family and, be around my friend and my god kids, it was a pretty good week. So I don't get that a lot. Usually it's something that goes on, especially after the week how my week started. This is definitely a better situation. So I think that's all I got. Is Sophie up, Razi? We got a joke, or do we have the privilege of having you today?
She's up. She's up. Let me go grab her.
Razi, give Sophie the headphones. We don't want to talk to you. Sophie.
Ferg.
Hey, Sophie.
Hey, Ferg. Hey, Byron.
Hello. It's been forever since I've seen you.
Hey there.
You saw me like 2 days ago. Hello.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Did we have fun?
Yeah.
All righty. And we ate a bunch of, what do we eat?
We ate
yogurt, frozen yogurt. You guys you are so they always have the weirdest taste buds. Like they go, when you go to a place and they have those random like side items and condiments, it's like, who's going to eat this? It's those guys. They're going to, what'd you have on what kind of yogurt did you get?
I got, I think it used to be called mocha. And I got mochi with some marshmallows and little poppers.
So she had
and cookie dough.
Marshmallows.
Espresso yogurt.
Oh, mocha. Oh, I was confused for a second.
The espresso, once again, she's 7. Coffee yogurt. Poppers. Marshmallows.
Okay.
And what else?
I also had those little popper things.
Yeah, you took all the poppers.
And the cookie dough. Yeah.
And Ollie had like tiger's blood and all kind of crazy stuff. Nerds, everything on his. It's like, wow. So I heard you have a good joke for us today, Sophie.
Yes, I do.
I'm ready to hear it.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay. So, keeping tropical fish at home can have a calming effect on your brain.
How so?
Due to all the endorphins.
Due to all the endorphins.
Yes.
Endorphins. That was a good one. It almost went over my head. I had to. That's a good one. All right. Man, I would never got that
watching
one.
Cells at Work, so she thinks she knows how the body works now.
Wait, what? I never said that.
I'm saying.
Don't be calling Sophie
been
out.
watching Cells at Work.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
But I never said that.
See, Sophie, that's why he's not as cool as us.
All right. Tell him bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
See you later.
Yeah, I had it took me about 3.5 seconds. I'm like, all indoor fans? All the indoor fins? I'm like, did she mean fans? Oh,
Endorphins. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and for the anime lovers out there, there's a show called Cells at Work. And the Cells at Work thing is basically they took white blood cells and red blood cells and made them characters. And they essentially have to fight like viruses and stuff like that as they come through. So you remember the show Osmosis Jones back in the day? It's basically that. Like it's a show about that.
That show was horrible, by the way.
Osmosis Jones was not horrible, man. It was
horrible.
good.
It was horrible.
Whatever,
and
man.
The red blood cells are never mind. Let's continue the show.
No. The red blood cells aren't fighting because, red blood cells don't fight. But that's what it's kind of cool because it's like the red blood cells basically usher the white blood cells where they need to be so then they can fight and everything.
I was about to say, like,
this it's show like everybody plays their part. And so they were like...
We're saying the white blood cells and red blood cells are like both ninjas or something. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to burst Sophie's bubble, but I'm going to get her a book.
No, it's scientifically correct. That's the cool part about it. Yeah.
Okay, I'll see. What is on Netflix?
First season's on Netflix. Yeah,
I might see if Sky will like that.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Who wants to start it off?
I can go first. We was talking about Space Jam at the beginning of the show and how it's pretty much a commercial for HBO Max. Well, I just recently rewatched like all of Game of Thrones like about a month ago. Watched all. Season 8 is still bad, but it's not that bad, by the way. But I just noticed something about Lord Varys' character, something that stood out to me, in that he is loyal to he wasn't loyal to a person. He was loyal to his moral code. So, he kind of betrayed Joffrey. He betrayed Cersei, and then he wound up betraying the Dragon Queen or whatever. That cost him his life. I wanted to ask you fellas, it made me think of this question. Loyalty is a big thing in this society with our friends, and even in marriages and stuff, you'll hear people say, she stuck by him no matter what. She was loyal to him. Do you guys have like this line that you draw as far as when it comes to loyalty? Like at what point do you stop can loyalty be toxic? And it doesn't even have to be personally to you, just in general. What are some ways that someone can look at a situation and say, you know what? I don't need to continue to follow this person. My loyalty ends here. I can't ride with this or I can't ride with that. Or do you believe that once you're loyal to somebody, once you call somebody your friend or whatever, that you got to be with them no matter what?
Ooh. That is a very interesting question, and actually is it's very timely because there's a lot of stuff going on in the background in my world that friendship and loyalty has come into question. For one, is I think as long as it doesn't cause me to do any harm, I think that's, or for me to act out of my character or go against my morals, that it starts there. But I think loyalty is looked at in different ways. It's, as a friend, I as long as you're trying to do better and truthfully trying to do better, I'm going to be there to help you. I'm not going to be there to necessarily defend your actions, or support your actions. But if you need help getting through what you need to get through, then I'll be there, because I think a friend is a friend to the end. So how good of a friend am I if I turn my back on you when the rest of the world turns their back on you? Mm-hmm. So let's rewind 20 plus years ago when Sherman was going through his things. None of us supported the situation. None of us defended what happened. But as a friend, when the rest of the world was talking about him and turning their back on him, we galvanized, and we were there to support him in his time of need. And I think that's what a true friend does, and I'm always going to be there. Now, if you just go rampant and you're not trying to get help and admitting that you need help, that's where the question is. And even to the point where it doesn't have to be perfect. It could be getting somebody to, if you get to the point where I can't rock with Byron anymore, but I know Byron needs me right now as a friend, I would consider getting Byron to the finish line. Like, I got you to a place where you're safe, you're mentally okay, and now, because of your actions, because of what you've done, I can't support you anymore. I'm not going to walk away from you in the middle of this situation. But once we get there, I'm like, you know what, dude, I love you, but I can't continue with this. I gotta go, for my own mental health or whatever. So, and I think the longer you live, the more of those situations you're going to face. So I'm gonna let it go.
Definitely agree. I was gonna bring that same analogy up about Cooley. It's like, you don't have to agree with your friend to be a friend to them. It's, you have to think through, is it egregious enough that I am gonna step away? Like, if one of y'all came out and it's like, we found out that y'all are the next Dexter and y'all are serial killers or something like that, I don't know if I can rock with you like that. But if he was only killing bad people like Dexter, I might be able to rock with you. So, it really kind of depends on the situation and what they're doing. I like what you said, Ferg, about I can't support you in what you're doing, but I can still support you as a friend. I'm still going to be there to get you through this, and call you out on it and say, hey, that was wrong. But I'm going to help you get through this and change and do whatever needs to happen so that, you can get back on the right path. But it can't put me in jeopardy at the same time, right? I'm not going to jail for none of y'all. I'll just throw that out there. I got my life and my responsibilities and everything. So no, I'm not ride or die when it comes to that. So
what if you're in jail in the court of public opinion? Now people are like, oh, Byron's a serial killer and Razi supported him because if all of a sudden Byron gets arrested and Razi's not coming out like serial killers are bad, you just don't make a statement, because it's like, you know what, nothing good is going to come out there. The average person should know I don't have pro serial killer shirts and stuff like that. I'm not part of a group. It's just like, I just need to be there for my homeboy right now. Like he's going through it.
And that's, that public opinion is hard, but you have to make a choice personally. Is, are you going to go out and address it and say, I know serial killers are bad, just like when we say, yes, cheating is bad, but it's one of those things. Serial killers are bad, but I'm going to support my homeboy to get him through this. because yes, he did. Even if he did wrong, that's still my homeboy. That's still, and everybody needs that person that they can continue to lean on. And so, it's a hard one, Byron, because where that line is of I'm going to continue to support and I've got to cut you off right now is really fluid. It really is on how egregious the thing that they're doing is. Are they continuing? Are they seeking help? Like you said, Ferg, are they, but I'm definitely going to call them out. But one thing in management we always talk about is praise in public, counsel in private, right? So I'm going to counsel that person in private. I'm not going to make a big spectacle of me counseling my homeboy. I'm not calling my homeboy out on social media and in front of everybody because that's not where it needs to happen, because it's not going to be well received anyway at that point. So I need to have those conversations man to man or man to woman or whoever it is to be like, yo, that's foul. Whatever you did is foul. No, that wasn't right what you did. But, whatever happens, the repercussions of that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to lose me as a friend. I'm going to kind of support you. I'm going to put money on your books. I'm going to do what I need to do to get you through your situation or whatever as your homeboy, and I know that you're paying the price. The price doesn't necessarily have to be me in all situations.
What say ye?
So I guess it's not politically correct to say that you agree with what Sherman did because somebody lost their life. But, looking at the totality of the circumstances and, only a select few are privy to that, I do understand. I mean, I understand, the fear that he was in and stuff, but I don't want to talk about it too much because I know he doesn't like talking about it in detail, especially publicly. But I will say this, and I think you guys would both do this, and this is where I think Lord Varys' character went wrong in the series is, yes, he was loyal to his moral code, but he went about it in a sneaky way. So like I think with both of you guys, if one of your friends is doing something, you're going to at least go to them and try to talk to them and tell them why they're wrong. Like Razi said, counsel in private. And then, once you reach your reaching point, you will probably tell them, look, man, you've been my dog since whatever, 5th grade, whatever. But the way you flowing right now, I can't rock with you anymore. So just separate myself. Like, you're not going to go behind their back and undermine what they're trying to do. And that's where his character went wrong. So I think to answer my own question, wherever you draw that line, whether it's with your spouse, your friend, or a family member, definitely always try to reach to them, tell them, how you see whatever the situation is. Try to talk to them, try to get to them, try to counsel, as Riley said. But at the end of the day, once they go to a point to where you feel like you can't even reach them anymore, it's not about trying to undermine them or sabotage them, but just say, hey, we've been cool for however long, but I can't go this route with you. I can't roll with you on that. And I think that's how you stay true to your moral compass without doing it in a snake type way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say that Varys is a little different in that he was loyal to his friend, or in your analogy, right? His friend wasn't the ruler or the king. His friend was the realm, because that's what he said, right? I'm loyal to the realm.
Yeah.
Kings and queens, they change, and all the infighting or whatever. He's like, I am what's best for the realm. And so I think we would do what Varys does if we know exactly who our friend is, right? Yeah. It's like I'm if somebody else is trying to do something to my friend, I might have to, like, if I know generally where they are, say I'm working that same area with them or whatever, you did my friend wrong. I might throw you under the bus on a couple projects. I might do some things to undermine you on and stay cool, but at the same time be a little snaky with that person, because at that point they're trying to come from my actual homeboy or my actual homegirl, so they're on my bad side too. And I see that a lot in corporate world, right? Where, once you mess with the squad or whatever, that's it. You on all our bad sides.
Yeah, that's a good take. I think
That's a good point.
And this is interesting. Like I said, I have a situation I'm going through now where I think loyalty is being tested even more because social media puts an added level of pressure for you to state your loyalty or your opinions on things where, sometimes saying nothing is worse than saying something, without saying anything, people are able to, I guess, create their own narrative. And I think there's some, not unfair, but it's a different world, the situation like with Sherman, like if they didn't know us, they didn't know how to get in touch with Byron, you really weren't talking to people. But now how many followers do we have? Like right now, if that was have happened, how many people would be in the Three Brothers inbox? How many people would be posting on our page? How many people would want us to say something or expect us to say something? And is your opinion disloyal? Or is it kind of, are you shaky in your stance? Like, I don't support this, but, because when you throw that but in, people are, you're backtracking. So it's just very interesting. Like I said, I'm going through something and it's just people want answers. People have expectations and you're like, I'm not giving you what you want. I know where I stand. The people who know me know where I stand, and that's enough. And my friend knows where I stand. So
it's that whole Felicia Rashad thing, right? Everybody's on her. She's standing behind Bill Cosby, even though everybody knows that he drugged those women. But she still is like standing behind him. Like, he said he didn't do it. That's our story and we're sticking to it. And that's my homie. So glad he got out,
Yeah. But you even know what her comment meant. She might not be saying he's innocent. She might just be saying, you know what? The way he went to jail wasn't right. He shouldn't have been in jail. Did he do it? Yeah. I'm not going down that road. Is he guilty? Does he have a problem? That's not for me to say in public. All I'm saying is the way this shit happened wasn't supposed to happen. But we created our own narrative that she's defending her friend. He's innocent. We don't know what she thinks. All we know is she's like, you know what? I think she said finally a social injustice has been undone. Something to that extent. We don't know what that means. And so what could have happened was she said nothing, and she didn't go out. Her intent wasn't to cause chaos. Her intent was just to say whatever she said. It's very interesting. And now she had to make a public statement. And so, Bill did it. He was wrong. He did all that stuff. He's guilty. What I meant was, or did she just continue to stay silent at this point? Because I don't think she retracted her statement or she said anything. She just kind of
didn't follow up or anything. Yep.
Yeah. All righty. Who wants to go next? You want to go, Razi, or you want me to
go? You can go. I'm still trying to figure out which one I want to use.
So, fellas, bear with me. I don't know how to pose this question, so I'm going to talk through it. So, you all know Sky's attending swimming lessons. So I took her to her swimming lessons yesterday, and up until this point, all her instructors have been non-Black, young, probably between, I call it 16, 18, maybe some young 20s, early 20s. But so yesterday, her instructor was a young Black girl, and there was Sky and one other kid in the class, and there was a kid in a pool next to them in another class. And so the young white boy who was in the class with her, and there was a young Black girl who's in the class next to her. So their parents were there, a Black mom and a white father. And so the whole time that they were in the class, they made it their point to talk about how they did not approve of the Black girl at all. Her attitude, her demeanor, her facial expressions, all that. And you know, it got to the point where the black mom was saying, and I guess she was kind of referring to Skylar, just like if that, you know, if my child was in that class, I would have pulled her out, you know, first thing. And I sat there and there was a couple of questions. It was, do I say something to them? One, two, do I take my kid out? Because I could sense what they were saying was not like necessarily, I would say wrong. Their assumptions weren't necessarily wrong, but also part of me is like just watching my kid. If my kid's okay with this, if my kid's enjoying herself and she doesn't see a problem, then there's not a problem. So I guess my question is, do we have unfair expectations of, well, definitely do. How do we stop the unfair expectations or for black people, especially our young black women, compared to their counterparts of these young, you know, younger white kids or younger white people? You know, we always, I think we make that comparison, white is right, you know. And are we teaching our kids to act a certain way? You know, like, hey, don't act like this person, act more like that person.
Let me ask you. You gave kind of a general of what she was doing. Like, is there any specifics that she was doing that you felt was like different than what the other kids were doing?
Well, they're more bubbly. You know, they just have that. Imagine a young white girl who teaches kids how to swim. She's in the pool all day. You know, she's bubbly. They have like this high five thing they always do, and they're always smiling and stuff like that. Now she had you could say she had the resting bitch face sometimes, but she wasn't doing anything wrong. She would give high five, but she wasn't as bubbly as they were used to. The little white boy kind of was off in his own world. He was that kid that's like, if you were babysitting him, you probably would have knocked him out. You know, like, he sit over here, Tyler, and Tyler walks in the other direction. So he kind of was outlier. It was funny because Sky's biggest problem, because I asked her as soon as class was out, like, how did you like her teacher? Like, I liked her. She went directly to how the boy was acting. You know, she's like, he was all over the place. The teacher kept having to tell him to stop and he wasn't listening and stuff like that. But was it because the energy, now was it because he's a kid and the energy he was getting from the young lady wasn't what he's used to? And so he was kind of rebelling against that. I don't know. You know, I'm not a therapist, but out of all the things Sky picked up, that's what she picked up. And you could tell, like, she seemed like she was a little annoyed. That was, I could get it, but that might just be her personality. And was she wrong? It was just, this is kind of who I am. And also, you just never know what somebody went through. Like, you don't know what kind of day they're having. And I'm not making that as an excuse. It's just, you almost had to be there just to see it. Like, if you see these kids, the way they interact, they are so bubbly and all this stuff. And, you know, the kids are laughing and stuff. And it wasn't a lot of that. It was just like, all right, do your kicks, do your turnarounds. Okay, good job. You didn't get it. Or, you know, she was coaching. You know, it was a different style of coaching. And I mean, it was just so like, wow, y'all are so critical of this young lady. And she hasn't done anything wrong. It was just, she didn't do it to the way, she didn't live up to your expectations of what you've seen other people do. And that could have just been that day. And they were like, well, she'll never teach my kids again. It's like, wow. You know, I feel like one of the parents went over there and talked to the staff, but at that point, she didn't do anything wrong. It was just, she was just not even what you wanted. It's just, she didn't live up to this image of this bubbly little.
I'll tell you though, she didn't live up to the image that establishment was trying to portray. Mm-hmm. And so that is one of the things that everybody talks about, Karens or whatever. But the thing about it is, I go to those white establishments. I go to those, you know, those places in these white areas because of the higher standards that they have. I mean, let's just be honest. You moved out to the suburbs into these good areas because you wanted that school system that had that higher standard. You wanted that, that YMCA that had the instructors that are bubbly, like you say, and everything like that. You want that. So let's not act like, you can't have your cake and eat it too, Byron. So
He's not laughing. Now he is.
So that's one part of it, right? Is that she does have to put on her face and show up for and meet those expectations. But you were there at when they did belt testing, and so one of their instructors, or my kids, right? My kids' instructors is Miss Victoria, and then there's Master Turnbow. So they instruct totally differently. Victoria is very quick, and like you said, she's kind of matter of fact, and she's like, do it. And Mr. Turnbow is a little bit more bubbly and has a little bit more fun with them. And they are really different, but I like when Victoria takes over because she keeps the kids in line. So while somebody might be like, oh no, I don't want her to teach my kids because she's too rough or she's too, harsh on them. I like that because I think my kids need that to get that little push. Like they go ahead.
But that's to me. Imagine Miss Victoria was the little black girl. She didn't do anything wrong. Sky got her lesson. She got a lot of attention. She came out, felt like she was better at what she was better at the end of the lesson than she was. She was critiquing me and like, Daddy, what do I need to work on? What did the teacher say? Like Sky Sky got everything she needed. So is it because she was black that it was polarized? If Miss Victoria was black, would you be having the same conversation? Well, she got attitude, she be sitting there matter of fact. Or is it just like, I like it when she does that? Sky was very, she was dialed in. It was no excuses. It wasn't, it was just.
We're not here to play. We're here to learn how to swim.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. And I think that's why it's so hard for us as black people to navigate, right? It's like, we have to think that, is this a microaggression? Is it because I'm black that they're saying this thing? Or is it because they really don't like the service that I'm providing or whatever? And that's a difficult balancing act for us in general.
The biggest part for me was that,
like you said, you had to be there without being able to see exactly what was happening. It's hard to say which way it makes more sense.
Yeah. I mean, and I think the biggest thing for me was how young she was. And are you teaching her like, you have to be like the rest of these white girls who might be doing whatever in the back, don't know what they're doing in the back. She could be the best instructor there. She could be like on her way to college, full school. But in our mind, because she doesn't act like everybody else, and other people like pull your kids out, almost like she won't teach my kid again. It's like, wow, how does that affect her? Her mentality, like, I didn't do anything wrong, and actually your kid is an asshole. It was just, and then teaching your kids, do you pull, imagine if I would have pulled Sky out, and said, hey, I didn't like how the teacher was acting. What do you mean, Dad? Like, how do I explain to my daughter that, well, she was being mean? No, she wasn't. Well, I didn't like her attitude. What attitude? Sky could tell the difference. She knows that like Daddy's more matter of fact than Mommy. Mommy's bubbly and goofy and stuff like that. But we both love her and she gets what she needs. The girl didn't do anything wrong. Her standards weren't lowered. It was just your image of what is right was challenged. So I want to give Buff a chance, but I just finished my allies in the workplace curriculum for my diversity and inclusion stuff. And so we were talking about men as allies for women. And as an ally at that point, Ferg, did you do anything? Did you push back on those white women or folks that were like, oh, I'm not, take your kids out and everything like that? Like, were you an ally to her? And so that was my problem. I faced that, but I wanted to hear my daughter first. Cause you can't just pick and choose your back. If Sky would have like, I don't want to be with her anymore, then I would have I'm running to the aid. I'm like, well, they were right. You know, like she was too harsh with the kids. You know, Sky didn't get it out because Sky's very sensitive, you know, and she picks up energy really well. And so my thing is, I don't want to go to her defense when
Sky is feeling
you know, so that's my thing.
Yeah.
And by that time, you know, class was, you know, they're on the clock, you know. They have about a 2-3 minute turnaround. All right. 27 minutes is exactly what they get for a 30 minute. So they get 3 minutes to drop the kids off, talk to the parents, and back to the next group of kids. So, you know, and I will speak up on that next time, you know, and if I see her again, I will. But you're right. I was battling that, but I was like, I don't know, because I could sense, once again, I saw what they were seeing, but I'm like, your kid is kind of being an asshole, you know, could have spoiled her day. And she's not doing anything wrong. So Byron's laughing at me for calling somebody's kid an asshole. What do you have for us?
So she was just, basically the difference is she was just being very matter of fact with the kids, just direct and not as bubbly as the other instructors.
Yeah. Yeah. You can see, like, you can kind of see her, like, if little Michael did something, you could see her, like, you could see the annoyance in her face. You know, you could see those things. And maybe that's something she has to work on a little bit, but
if those parents want to do that, that's fine. I think they should kind of do like you did. See if their kids had a problem with it, because that's what it's about, right? It's about the kids and whether or not they're learning and enjoying themselves. So just see what the kids' response is to it, and then go from there. Because, you know, we as adults, we see things completely different sometimes than our children. But I think Razi pretty much answered everything to your specific question. I just want to point out what he mentioned, just how stressful it is to be Black. You know what I mean? Like, you got to always wonder, and like the dilemma that you were in, Ferg, like, do I take up for, do I wait? And you know what I mean? Like, it's a daily struggle and battle that we don't even talk about on a national level at times, but it's a daily struggle. Just being Black, and just some of the, like, we look at that as like a small battle, but there's still battles that add up over time. And it's just, you know, everything Razi said in his answer, it's stressful as hell being us, and people just have no idea. Because a lot of times we only talk about the big stuff. We don't even talk about the day-to-day small stuff that adds up and takes a toll on us. So
yeah.
It's crazy.
How many people don't want the Black, because she was the only Black instructor I've seen since we've been there. How many people don't want the Black instructor? You know, what if their natural, you know, some of these girls, their natural personality is just to be, they have a great life and they're just bubbly and everything. And not saying she, you know, I'm you know, has a hard life, but she's like, that's just not who I am. You know, are you going to make Haley or Jasmine or Sophie extra bubbly just so they can fit in? You know, we talk about, we don't want our kids fitting into these roles all the time. That's the same thing, you know, with, you know, your daughter having to be submissive or whatever. Live up to this image that everybody else wants your kids to live up to. And you were talking about standards, Razi. The standards were met, you know, but the thing about it is, like you said, it happens in the workforce or in just regular life. We have this image of what we want, and we just assume that it's not getting done or it's not being met. You know, that that standards aren't being met, and it's like, Razi comes to work, he's not, you know, bullshit people. He goes to his desk. He's not just making a lot of friends and stuff like that, but he gets the job done. As a matter of fact, he's among the best. But because he doesn't fit the mold, or he's not as nice as Bill over there, you know.
Yeah. Why are you so angry, Razi?
Bill gets the promotion.
Or I wonder if our customers are happy with Razi. You know, especially if you're people facing. Yeah, why are you so angry, Razi? You know, you're not angry. You just this is how I was raised.
That's it. But it a little bit of it though also is that black swim instructor is teaching what we teach our black kids. You have to be 2 times as good, right? 3 times as good to get what they get or whatever. And so she's probably in that mode of, we got to be the best. And she's probably that's been drilled in her since she was very young, that you got to be the best. You got to do well. You got to give it your all. You know, you don't come and play around when you get in these classes and stuff like that. And she's probably taking that and instilling it in those kids as well in her instructing style. So it's a lot, man, to unpack out of just that one situation.
Yeah.
So, but you did, I think real quick, I want to talk about just that whole being an ally thing. One of the first steps in being an ally is evaluating. And so when you talked about, I want to talk to Sky first and see how it really affect Sky. I think as an ally, one of the things that you really have to continue to do is make sure that it's affecting the person the way that you think it's affecting them before you jump out and try to be the ally and be the savior in that. So that's another part I wanted to throw out there. So
we've all probably seen that. You go this one like, so how do you deal with that? All this, and it's like, what are you talking about? Like you and your feelings, you ready to fight, and they're like, I don't even know what happened. So they said that to me. Like, you sure? Like, yeah, we were standing there, and you had your back to him, and they said this is this. You like, I missed all of that. Like, that was right over my head. I was cool. I had a blast last night. Because I'm pretty sure we've all called those people like, dog, how you doing? You all right? Like, yeah, what you mean? And you done had this whole scenario in your mind where you're like, let's go get them, or you need somebody to talk to. And it's like, dude, that didn't bother me at all. As a matter of fact, let me rethink. I'm quite sure that you're mistaken. So, all right, Buff, what do you have for us?
Oh, no, that was Buff's question. So I think this is mine.
It's on Razi.
All right. So I don't know if y'all saw the interview with Diddy where he was talking about Ferg shaking his head like, no, I did not see that interview. But he was talking about
the 14 roaches on his face. No, I'll just play.
Yeah. So he's like, he woke up one morning, he had I think it was 14, 15 roaches on his face, and he was like, I got to do better. And folks was coming at him about, we've been in the hood, and I've had roaches before, and I ain't never woke up with no 15 roaches on my face like that. How many roaches do you have in your house to have 15 roaches on your face when you wake up? Like, they move around. They don't just like hang out on your face.
That's their house.
Right. At that point.
Yeah, like you're a roommate. You leasing.
But he talked about that. He was like, that was his aha moment or whatever, that he was like, I got to do better. And so we've had kind of these conversations before talking about, those folks that kind of pushed us harder or whatever. But I wanted to kind of come back to you guys and say, was there a moment, and there probably have been multiple, but give me an example of one of those aha moments where you're like, I got to do better. And I think, Ferg, you've given us one before. So if you want to, rehash that one, that's cool. But what was your moment that you were like, I got to do better?
You want to go, Byron, or you want to go?
Man, I actually have 3, but they're they're not long stories. They're very quick. The first one was, man, she probably don't even remember this, but I was working at McDonald's. And y'all know I worked at McDonald's for a minute. And I was still young, so it wasn't a bad thing, but it's just, I remember how it made me feel. I was working at McDonald's, and I think, mostly everybody we graduated with had been going off to school or whatever, and they would come home for the summertime. And so I was still at McDonald's like maybe a year and a half after we graduated. And I remember Michelle Torrance, she had came up in there. She ordered something, and I rung her up. She's like, "Oh man, you still work here?" And it was just the way she said it. I felt like I was like, "Yeah, I still work here." So that was number one, right? That was number one. So not long after that, I wound up because I figured out South Alabama.
But you should have told them on the fries now.
But listen, not long after that, I wound up going to, I found out South Alabama wasn't for me. So I went to, it's now called Remington College, but it was called Southeast College of Technology at the time. I went there, got my computer degree, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to be in computer. I'm going to be computer programming or whatever. But it didn't really happen like that. And I wound up working at Coastal Insulation. I was installing fireplaces and stuff in newly built houses. So every morning we would stop at this Chevron on Spring Hill Avenue and fuel up the trucks. I was working with my buddy Rock. James worked there with me. We affectionately call him Fino. And I remember I saw one of my classmates that I graduated from. And, I had on my dirty, construction worker type clothes. And she saw me. She was like, "Oh, okay. So this what you doing?" I was like, "Yeah." And again, the same way Michelle made me feel. Was like, I got a degree. This what I'm doing. Okay. So that was my second one. And then it was bad, man. It was bad. And so I felt like dog. And so my final one was you know what? Go ahead, man. I'm it's bringing back some bad memories for me. I'm gonna give you my third one in a second, but go ahead, Ferg, jump in.
So I told you my old one as an adult about, my 30th birthday and all that stuff. But
yeah,
my life happened in segments, I'll say. So I think there was a point when I was at FAMU. So I became that old Q, that dude that was still on the yard, that, "Oh, you're still here" type situation. And a lot of people didn't know my story. I had to work to get paid through school, took semesters off just to make ends meet. Deployment made me miss 2 years of school, all kind of stuff. But nobody knew my story. So circa 2005, I would say like spring 2005, fall 2005 is when everything turned around for me. Because I was already to the point where around that time I thought about withdrawing from fam and going someplace else. Because I was in a dark place. I don't know if you remember that, Razi. I was just like, I'm over this shit,
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was, so there was a young lady that came in with me freshman year, and we were cool. I remember, how your parents come up there, they bring your family and stuff like that. So freshman year, she comes up, her parents come up there and they bring her little sister. And her little sister, and at this point in my mind, is like 4. In my mind, she's a kid. I fast forward to 2005, and this little sister's in the class with me. And it's not only this little sister in the class with me, this little sister trying to shoot her shot at me. So I'm like, man, I've been that stagnant in my life where somebody I saw as a little kid, is now my peer. And not only my peer, she looking at me like I'm one of you. Like, she's shooting a shot at me, and I'm kind of like, and I think she was going to graduate before me at this point. Like, she was on a track to graduate with me. Graduate before me, and I'm like, dog, what the hell have I done with my life? Like, everybody's passing me by. When I became the old bruhs, when I became that, when I had to explain, "Oh, so when'd you get here?" So what had happened was, so I got here in 99, and then, I'm trying to give people my story to make them look at me as not this bum, because I always had high expectations of myself. But when people almost kind of be like, "Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I kind of expected more from you, but okay. Or, you get those questions are, "So what are you doing? Oh, you're still here? You working on your master's?" "Oh, no. I'm just trying to get this first degree out the way." So it was just very disheartening, and then especially when I started seeing these young guys that got to fam, looked up to me as a Q, wanted to be a Q, telling me freshman year they want to be a Q, and now they're graduating college. So it was just those things. I just felt like I was getting left behind, and that was part of it. So
That is.
What about you, Razi?
Yeah,
You've been always. What say, Buff?
Good, Buff.
I was gonna say that's the perfect segue for my third one, because it's not like Michelle was malicious in what she said. It just was kind of like, oh, you still here, but the way I took it. Now the girl that I graduated with, that I saw at the gas station when I was filling up the truck, it was kind of like, you got that degree and this what you're doing. It was a little more direct. It was a direct shot. And at that same job is where I had my third moment, and I would say my final moment, where I actually put action behind it. Because at this job at Coastal Installation, we would install the fireplaces, but you had to run the pipe all the way up through the roof and cap the chimney. And you know, Alabama heat gets hot. And I just remember sitting on top of that roof after we had capped one of the chimneys. And I remember saying to Rock at the time, I was like, man, I'm tired of working on houses that I can't afford. Like, this is some bullshit. And, you know, and rightfully so, he took it as me just talking shit. He was like, man, whatever, dog. Let's go to this next job, man. You ain't going nowhere. And I can't even say, like, how dare he not believe in me? Because at the time, that was an accurate assessment. Like, I tell people, I had to get away from Mobile because all I was doing was riding around. Like, a fun Friday night was riding around with Wendell, James, getting a Mad Dog 2020 and some cheap fast food, just riding around listening to music. And I'm like, you know, I have a degree. I graduated from high school with pretty good grades. Like, is this it? Is this going to be my life where I finally get like some little apartment somewhere? And so that moment on that roof at that job, when I said, I'm tired of working on houses that I can't afford, you know, just really began the process of me transitioning to where I am. But I'll never forget sitting up there on that roof in that heat thinking like, dog, this is some straight bullshit. Like, I can't even afford this house, and I'm helping them make it look good. Like, the hell with this. So that was my third one right there, man.
You should go back and buy that house.
That exact house. Yep.
You know what? You know what? That's a good plan.
Just knock on the door. You don't know me, but I know you. Yeah, I want this.
Oh man, that is a really good plan, Ferg. So
the fireplace is still here. Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna get this redone because the nigga that did this ain't. He shammed. Yeah, this ain't done right. I hope you ain't used this. I'm surprised this thing's still standing. Yeah, I called it in on this one, yeah.
Yeah, man. Those are some awesome stories. Really, I didn't really have one that was like that huge epiphany.
You were always
like
awesome.
That. No, not just that. For me, those aha moments happen all the time because I'm so hard on myself, right? So it's like, if I set a goal, I accomplish the goal, on to the next goal, right? So I always think I'm not doing well enough. And so that's why it's really hard for me to find that one time, because I'm constantly on myself about you're not doing well enough. Like, even now, I think we've talked about this, right? Like, for me, the hardest part is me sitting back and saying, good job, son. Like, I've accomplished things, because it's like, I still feel like I need to do more. But I did have a time, kind of what you were talking about, Ferg, where after I graduated undergrad and I had been working full time, going to school full time. And so my time was like super packed, and being the bruh. So it was like constantly moving, constantly doing things. And I graduated, and at the same time, now I'm older, a little bit older. I'm, not the new Neo anymore. So I'm not like super involved as I was before with the bros. So I would go to work, get off work, and come home and not even turn my TV on, sit down, crack a beer, and like read a book. And it was boring, but it was, I almost felt like I was just becoming an alcoholic, because that was my day. It was like, go to work, come home, wouldn't talk to anybody, kind of being in my bubble, right? And not doing anything. And one day DeMarcus came over there, and he had a key, so he just use the key and walk in, and he's like, "Yep, you right exactly where I thought you would be." And it kind of it hit me kind of like what you said, Byron, about I really don't do anything with my life, right? Like I go to work and come home and do nothing, and so that really really hit me hard. And I think that following semester I started grad school. It was like, oh no, I can't just sit and not do anything. Started grad school and I started volunteering a whole lot. Because I was like, I'm blessed, I'm doing well, but I want to give back. And so that kind of pushed me into my volunteerism and making sure that, I was really doing a lot for the community and trying to help out, because I had this extra time that I had been used to, doing after get off work, doing another 4 hours of class and then doing homework and everything else. And all that time went away. So I needed to fill it with something. And so I filled it with something that made me feel good. And now I know that without volunteering, I really wouldn't feel fulfilled in my life. Like I really, that is a core tenet in my psyche that I'm going to give back. So I think that was my aha moment, was finding what I enjoyed and what was going to actually help me fulfill myself.
I'm glad you brought that one up. That made me think of this one. I'll make it real quick. So, and it goes about like changing the way people have expectations of you, even when you're not doing it. You have this brand, like you have this, I bet if I go by Razi, how's he drinking a beer and watching, reading a book. So for me, and it was kind of when I was graduating and leaving Tallahassee, I thought I was doing better. And I just realized I still hadn't changed the way people were viewing me. So I wasn't the most popular person in Tallahassee by any means, but I was kind of in the inner circle, I would say. And so there was this thing called Top Tallahassee Socialites that I always found myself on this list. And so it got to the point where I made it I'm like, man, these are all young kids, I'm 26, 27. I'm just trying to get away from that. I'm trying to okay, Ferg's still not trying to be out. Like he's still here, but he's moving on. And I could not get off that list. And it just made me my image is set. No matter what I do, no matter what I do, I'm not doing enough. Like I'm doing better, but I'm not doing enough to get myself to that next level where I'm not going to the clubs like that. I'm not going to the young 21-year-old clubs. I might go every blue moon, but I'm not doing that stuff. And it was still to the point where I couldn't break that mold. And that was around the time I started thinking, this might have been like 2007, 2008. Like I think I might have graduated and I still found myself on this list. And I'm like, how the hell? But I'm still in Tallahassee working. So I'm still kind of in the scene. I'm still doing these things. And it made me I need to break this mold. I need to make a change because I'm making baby steps, but I'm not making a big enough step to change. Maybe I'm fooling myself and thinking I'm doing better, but it's perception is reality. Other people you're still the same old Ferg. And I think that's what it was. I was tired of still being the same old Ferg. So, eventually within a year I moved to Houston and kind of distanced myself. But that was I forgot about that. That was kind of man, how did I get back on this damn list? It's I'm too old for this shit, So, I mean, that's a weird situation, but it was kind of polarizing for me.
Mm-hmm.
All righty. Let's go ahead and do parting shots.
I'll start. For me, I just want to shout out Mike McCoy, aka Bruce, aka DJ Type Mike. He sent me out with Braves tickets, took me and the kids to a game. If you haven't been to the new field, it is freaking awesome. It is beautiful. And he got us box seats, so we had a table. They came serve us. So it was the first time the kids got a chance to go to a professional game. And so, everything that goes along with that. And they were in the super sweet seats. And so it was a fun time. And I want to appreciate him, thank him for just creating that memory for me and the kids. We got there, he had barbecued already. So we got to his house, ate barbecue, chilled out, hung out pregame. went to the field, got white glove treatment the whole time and everything. So Mike, man, I appreciate it. The kids love it. They appreciate you. And we had a good time. And we got a chance to hang out with girl baby. Sarah's so cute. Lex, you guys, I'm so proud of you guys for the wedding planning. And, like I told you guys at the house, if the SWAT table's, full, I volunteer and tribute to go for the line sister table. I will do that. I don't mind.
Thirsty. Buff is on you.
Just real quick. I just noticed a trend, and I don't want to make it just about him because I never want to be in a position where I'm defending a grown man that I don't even know, and especially when that grown man is Kevin Samuels. But I just noticed over the last several months that those that disagree with him, their go-to is he's gay anyway, and they snicker and make jokes about that. That's fine. I'm not here to defend him, but my thing is, if you call yourself, we talked about allies during the show, if you call yourself an ally of the gay community, I just see, it seems like a major conflict to weaponize that lifestyle against someone who you think may be gay, or just use it to try to discredit him or tear him down. I'm not saying you're wrong or right. I just need you to help me make that make sense to me, because it seems like you're weaponizing something that you claim you support and that you're an ally of. And so while you may disagree with his take, and there's a lot to disagree with when it comes to him, you may disagree with his take and think that he's wrong in what he says about women. But if you're also someone that says you're a friend of the gay community and you support that lifestyle and those people that engage in that, then how are you weaponizing it to try and tear down somebody that you disagree with? The two just don't seem to mesh to me. So y'all work that out, get back to me and let me know how that is able to coexist. Second, I love getting the Razi seal of approval. I texted him yesterday. You guys know I'm obsessed about retirement. I texted him some of my new numbers, and he was like, yo, bro, you on your way. So I just wanted to tell you, man, that really felt good to hear. And like I say, it's something that I'm very aggressive about. I really want to be in a position where I don't have to work when I'm 50. I probably will to stay busy, but I don't want to have to work. And just to hear my man say that, hey, you're doing good and you're on your way, that really felt good. So I just wanted to tell you that, bro.
Congratulations with that. I'm going to piggyback real quick. The Kevin Samuels, his sexuality is irrelevant, but just for the record, let's make it straight. Gay does not mean he hates women. Like, they use that as a defense. Like you said, they weaponize it. It's like, well, he's gay, he hates women. Like, okay, those are just two allegations that have no merit. And then you're trying to make it, there's two allegations and neither one has been proven, and they're actually separate. So, but I'm gonna go down on the same line as you. So it's about just make it make sense. Social media gives everybody a voice, and I urge people to be careful with their voice. You can support people and not tear down other people. This past week, I just saw a lot of things, people close to me make statements on Facebook that I was just kind of like, wow. And I understand I try to understand their intent and their frustration, but you never know the impact it's having on other people. So first thing, you don't always have to comment. I'm just letting people know you don't always have to comment. There's no rule that you have to comment. They're not going to take your Facebook account. You don't have a minimum count. To be careful with your words. You never know what somebody else is going through. I'll put it this way, and if the right people listen to this, I'll get pushback. Sometimes a villain needs support too. The person that we're villainizing, you just never know what's going on in their world as well. And not making excuses for that, but it's just, you just never know what your comment can do to somebody. Because because social media has far-reaching capabilities. 3, nobody owes anybody a damn explanation except the people involved. So there's not a social media court. Nobody owes people answers. So that's me. Anything else, fellas?
Real quick, Ferg.
Go ahead, Buff.
I was going to say, in my explanation, God is still working on me. I do want to make it known that I do know gay people do not like when you say lifestyle, because that makes it seem like it's some sort of choice. So I did err when I was making my point. It's still something that I say without thinking, and I'm still growing and progressing. So if anybody out there is offended or upset with me saying that, I do apologize, and I do need to do better on that, because I have been told by a gay person that, hey, it's not a lifestyle, because lifestyle means that's the same as like going on a diet, or, hey, I'm choosing to be vegan now. I'm leaving the vegan lifestyle. It's not a lifestyle to them. It's something that they are born with and that they are. So that is my mistake on that. That's all I'm going to say.